All right, guys, this is Sunday, the day after the contest. So if you followed me on Facebook or Instagram, you saw the results. I was pleased with them. I got second in master's class out of I think it was 16 guys, which there was no weight class in. And then I got first in the open heavyweights, and I was really pleased with that. To recap, Friday after weigh-ins, was pretty pleased with my look. We continue to feed some pretty high carbs. I think I ended up with 3 more meals, and the total intake for the day was about, I want to say, 600 grams of carbs. My water intake for that day was about a little over 2 gallons. Woke up about 6 a.m. I looked in the mirror. I was pretty dry. Had a decent pop to the muscle, but I knew I needed to fill out a little bit more. So I had pancakes and some syrup, about 100 grams of carbs. I started feeling better. I kept water kind of moderate all day. Probably no more than about 10 to 16 ounces at a meal. My second meal, going to the athletes meeting at around 8, I had about 200 grams of deli meat turkey for sodium because I was cutting my water back and to help fill me out a little bit more. And I had, I think it was about 10 or 12 caramel rice cakes and some sea salt on top of that. And then we were waiting for prejudging to start. Once it started, they were lining us up 4 classes deep. So that means whatever class was on stage, we were going 4 classes back just to get in line and wait. So it was really hard for timing with that as far as a meal. So I did my cream of rice with honey and sea salts. It's probably about 150 grams of carbs, minimal protein, very high sodium. Still kept water intake medium or moderate. I'd say about 8 ounces at that meal. Felt great. Pumped up pretty easily. Went on for the open division. The problem ensued when we got in line, and they were telling us 10-15 minutes tops. And once we got out there, and it was cold, number one, it was probably almost 30 minutes in line just waiting to get on stage. And if you've ever experienced that, once you pump up and you don't have anything left besides doing push-ups, you're cold, you ate your meal, so long ago, you just kind of dissipate and lose that pump that you initially had, which is fine. Things happen, no big deal. Got on stage, was happy with the presentation, got first call outs, let us off stage. Pretty wide because we went through rounds, about 3 rounds of posing, and then I had to go right back into masters. Felt like I needed to eat, but obviously didn't have time to do so. Got back on stage, a couple rounds of posing, come back off, and just felt completely and utterly depleted. Like I had nothing left in me. My eyeballs kind of felt sunk in. I talked to a couple friends backstage, went out and met Matt in the hallway, John Meadows, and basically came to the consensus that carbs just weren't going to cut it at this point. I could not put enough clean calories in me to fill me out for what I needed. So the decision was made to get a calorically dense meal in, with higher fats, sodium, everything, and just keep water, again, minimal, 8 to 10 ounces, no big deal. So I went and had a hamburger with bacon, all the works, and a large order of fries. We got back to the hotel room. I had Matt look at me, and we decided, it was about an hour after the meal and was filling out nicely. Veins, muscles popping, tight, dry, pretty much the combo that I wanted. And this was at about 12:30, and we weren't going back to the night show till about 6, so I had about 2 more meals to get in me, so I decided to go the clean route and just try to maintain where I was at with the meal. Got those 2 meals in me, went back for the night show, did my posing routine, didn't really want to pump up because I was pretty confident that I was going to be in the overall and win my class at the heavyweight, so I was waiting until after intermission to really feel out for that. After intermission, which was about 20 minutes long, I started just feeling off. I wasn't full like I wanted to feel. My stomach was just completely empty. Face was sinking in a little bit. I think in an hour's time, I probably put down about 250 grams of carbs, cream of rice, honey. I was literally putting, a tablespoon of sea salt in my mouth, drinking it. Still keeping water kind of moderate. feeling that it was going to be enough. Got on stage, didn't feel too bad upper body wise, but I just couldn't feel my legs. There was no pop to them. They were smoothing out. They just weren't there like they were in the morning. Nothing I could do at that point. So that overall good showing. When it was all said and done, I was happy with my placings. It's been a good season so far. I mean, this prep has been, to me, the easiest I've done in 20 years. You know, it's a long time competing. Stress-free, no issues. Got ready 4 or 5 weeks early, raised my calories, my carbs, everything up's going into the show, so I was actually feeding into the contest. Never really thought that I was basically dieting the whole time. I kept in a cheat/free meal every single weekend. Still lived my life, went on trips, you know, did what I typically would do. Stayed on point with my diet during the week. Training was 7 days a week most of the time. Cardio I only did for probably five to 6 weeks out of the 18. Conditioning was the best it's ever been. That's the highest weight I've ever been on stage. So overall, it was a good experience. Learned a lot. The one thing that we saw, and it was kind of new, was the decision with the caloric dense meal. The first show, I was just nothing but carbs, took in 1,000 grams, and I thought I was about 90–95% on for that show with the overall package. And then going into this last show, it's like everything was just kicked up a notch into overdrive. I could not take in enough food to stay full the whole time. So we toyed around with the idea of what needs to be done, you know, the next step down the road, whatever's decided after this, is one of two routes for myself, and this isn't general for everybody, is either to carb load like I typically do, just keep my carbs where they're at all week long to keep from being depleted, and do a calorically dense meal with a lower water intake to fill me out, or keep carbs high and keep my water intake high the whole time. I can't have a lot of carbs and no water. It just doesn't work for my body. I have to have a lot of water for those carbs. You know, as you know, with carbs, water comes into the muscle as well, so if it's not there, I just don't have that pop. And obviously with the fat meals, such high sodium content, a lot more calories in there, I feel a lot better just keeping water low, and I stay dry. So it's kind of a two-way street. I could go either option. It just depends on what's going on at the time. It's an hour-to-hour assessment, literally, at that point. So for the future contests or where we have coming down the road, that's going to be taken into account to where I'm at now. As far as what's next, my 1 year anniversary is next. I'm going to New York next week. It's New York Pro. 2 weeks after that, I'm going to take a 1 week break and go on my 1 year anniversary trip, enjoy life, you know, live it. And then once we get back, we'll reassess and go from there. But overall, it's been a great experience. Best prep I've had. No complaints from me. Great season. And hopefully there'll be more to come.